Hi again, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Stronger Together podcast. I'm Josh Warden. Well, one of the things we care a lot about at ACSI is student leadership development. I'm sure you do as well. Relevantly and recently, ACSI hosted a big student leadership conference in Hungary. In fact, that's where ACSI Europe is based, and Divisional Director Lassi Demeter. At this conference, there were about 200 students. For the first week, a separate set of about 200 students. The second week, an amazing time of worship and student leadership development. We're going to hear from Maggie. She's one of the leaders that brought students to that conference. In fact, she's been on this podcast before. She sat down with Dr. Larry Taylor over a year ago, in fact. She'll share about her school in Ukraine, how the war is impacting her school, just kind of a school update. But she'll start with just her students' experience at this conference and how it's been impacting them and the encouragement for them. You'll hear Lassi Demeter's voice in the background asking a couple questions as well. So here is Maggie right here on the Stronger Together podcast.
I'm really thankful to ACSI for doing something like this. I told my kids that they have 1 in a million opportunity that millions of kids around the world don't get. And I think it's really amazing that they have an opportunity to come together with other like-minded young people and to see that they're not alone in their desire to bring about change in the world, to be leaders. And it really encourages them to go out and do that more. So I have seen so much fruit in the kids who have come even just once or twice. They come back and they are leaders in our school, and they are a good example to the other kids. The other kids watch them and then they want to participate in it. And I love that. I think it's an incredible opportunity. So thank you very much for doing it.
How do you see your students? What kind of expectations do they come to the conference?
It's interesting that as the kids we've brought have gotten older, their expectations for the conference and their commitments to the conference have changed. So this year, all of our kids came to the conference with goals to develop themselves in some way. And I asked them to give me a list of those things so that I could hold them accountable throughout the week. And I haven't had to. They've been holding each other accountable. And that's been really incredible to watch. I'm just sitting back and enjoying the fruit of God's work in their life. And one of them is going around meeting people and giving them candy and giving them compliments. And it's way out of her comfort zone, but it's what she decided she was going to do. She tackled it, she's doing it, and I'm just watching. And so for me, this is a joy to watch them grow up and step into these roles of adulthood. Great opportunity for them.
Thank you. And would you share something about what is life like in Ukraine and how can the Christian world pray for Ukraine and especially Christian schools in Ukraine?
Mm-hmm. It's a big question. We're already finishing our 4th year of war in Ukraine. And in some ways, we've gotten used to it. And we just live normally. We have a lot of nighttime attacks in Kyiv. So often we don't sleep well at night. But Ukrainians are very resilient. So we get up in the morning and go on with our life. And I think for our students, living in war for the last 4 years has given them a unique perspective on life. And it's made them very resilient people. And it's also brought them together in relationship with one another in ways that they wouldn't have had without the war. So our school became a lot smaller when the war started because many families left. But because of that, our small classes have really bonded together as families. And they understand each other and they're able to support each other in that. And I think that's a gift. So yeah, I can pray for Ukraine, pray for peace, pray for a just peace, not just an end to the conflict, but to justice for many people who have lost their lives, their limbs, their family members. Pray for hope for non-believers. For us as Christians, we have hope that God knows the end of the story. He is sovereign. He has this as part of our plan, and we can keep coming back to that even if we don't understand it. But I often walk along the street and look at other people and I think, how do they live? How do they deal with the reality that probably tonight there will be another attack and maybe it will be them this time? And they don't have that hope. So thankful for the hope of Christ in Ukraine, and can pray for the many non-believers who don't yet have that hope, that the war will be the reason that they turn to Christ. Can also pray for Protestant churches in Ukraine. God is doing amazing things through the Protestant church. And many people have come to church and come to Christ because of the outreach that is going on because of the war. Very thankful for those things.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Maggie.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing.
Well, my thanks to Maggie for sharing some of her time. Hopefully your school is being impacted in some way or another by student leadership and learning, which is a great department within ACSI. Of course, there's the apologetics conferences, or a whole variety of ways that your school can hopefully be equipped. Speaking of international events and just an international scope, you may know the name Tim Shuman. He's been the Senior Director of the International Division with ACSI. Overall, he's been with ACSI for 15 years and was the head of school at an ACSI school in Germany prior to that. Well, Tim is retiring. He's finishing up his time with ACSI at the end of the 2025 calendar year. I had a chance to chat with Tim over Zoom recently about his time with ACSI and what he's excited about in the new transition for himself, but also the person who's taking over his role, and that's Dr. Angela Patterson. So let's just hear a brief snippet of what Tim Shuman had to say.
I've never been more proud of ACSI than I am today. And Angela, you are joining at an amazing moment in the work of ACSI. The improvements, the changes, the new initiatives are stunning to me. And I thank Larry Taylor too for his part in it. God had brought him to us, and the things that are being worked on today are stunning. I am truly, truly proud of ACSI today and what it's doing. And like, man alive, what am I leaving for now? But it's time. It's time for me to go. So I'm excited. I'm excited too about Angela and the new ideas, the new energy and that she's going to bring to the International School Division, and working under Gavin Brettany and the initiatives that he's bringing together. I can't wait to sit back and watch and rejoice at what comes to be and how schools will be better served, better lights for the gospel around the globe. Yeah, I'm excited about it.
Well, again, my thanks to Tim for sitting down and overall for his service, again, 15 years with ACSI overall. We've got a story actually coming out on Tim, not to mention a previous story that's already on the ACSI stories page about Dr. Angela Patterson and her background and what you can be excited about and her efforts to continue supporting ACSI and all the schools within the international division. Now, for another segment on this podcast, I want to do a little bit more of advice. You could call it an advice corner or a leadership advice, whatever you want to call it. But I just enjoy hearing leaders encourage each other, helping equip each other, and just sharing advice from their own background and just things that you may need to hear. Maybe you've heard it 100 times, but you just need to continue being encouraged with it. And so for this segment, we're going to hear from David Kilgore. He's the head of school at Calvary Christian High School located in Florida.
Well, first, I would say keep Christ central. You're a leader of a Christian school. What a unique privilege that is. There'll be those who try to emphasize other areas of the school, and I'm not saying they're unimportant, but the most important thing is Jesus Christ. And you're privileged to teach biblical truth to your students. Don't lose sight of that mission. As a new leader, take the time to listen to the stakeholders, the teachers, the students, the parents, the board members, and then move and make decisions that you have to make, but you'll have confidence in that you have listened to the people who shared their points of view. Be transparent. You have nothing to hide. Be open and share the reasons for the decisions that you're making and have confidence in them. That brings confidence in the people who are following you. If you're trying to hide things and not be transparent, they think there's an ulterior motive. Be transparent. Don't hide your decisions and why you're making them. Invest in your faculty. They're the most important people in your school if there is an order of importance. Everyone is important. But if the reality is that schools grow mostly by word of mouth, then guess who is that first line of reputation to share their opinion of the school? The parents, their interaction is with the teachers. The students, their interaction is with the teachers. Invest in them. Provide professional development. Be concerned about their well-being. Look for ways to encourage them and inspire them, and look for ways to increase their benefits because of their value of the success of your school. And finally, I would say guard your soul. You will be surprised how much time will be requested of you. You will go home at the end of every day and the job will not be completed. You could work all night and still not get the job done. The work will be there in the morning. And it's important that you guard your soul so that you are in a place that God can use you to make a difference in the lives of the students and their families that He entrusts to you.
I always enjoy hearing from a variety of leaders on this podcast, and let's hear from one more, in fact. Dr. Pam Castleman is an associate dean at Jessup University in California. So being in higher education, she sees students on the other side of graduation. Maybe you're at high school or K through 12, whatever it may be, and you see students prior to their high school graduation. She's able to speak to the impact of Christian education once she sees them at 19, 20, 21 years old on the other side of high school graduation.
My experience has been our students coming from ACSI schools are more confident, they're grounded in their faith, they're eager to share their insights and experiences, and they're eager to get out into the classroom. Our experience academically with them, they've always excelled. Where maybe some of our other students have struggled and need a little extra support. Students, I call them kiddos, but students coming in from our sister schools are ready to meet the challenge.
I hope that was encouraging, just a perspective you might not normally get a little further down the road than you might typically see. Well, last thing before we close up shop on this episode, we hope you're connecting well with other leaders this fall and having opportunities to collaborate together, whether that be at Leadership Network meetings, so we hope you're taking advantage of, or it may be at the Catalyst Conference. It's a financial conference with ACSI, with tracks in development, operations, finance, HR. There's one in Dallas in November 11th and 12th. If that's not on the cards for you, there's another one in Pennsylvania in March of 2026 in Lancaster. Regardless, we hope you're able to attend either one of those conferences or whatever ACSI events are most able to suit you and equip your school in ways that ultimately then impact your students as well. You can check out all those events at acsi.org/events. Thanks so much for joining us on this episode of the Stronger Together podcast. For all of us at ACSI, I'm Josh Warden. Thanks for tuning in.